so steamed up about last night. I can't even remember the Scunthorpe.
I can't even imagine you ranting.
I'm still seething. I really am.
This is going to be a great video, lads. This is going to be fantastic.
I was cursing on the way home, and then a good song came on. I sang to that, and then I was cursing again after that.
I knew it was a bad night when Don was getting properly losing it.
I was up, Chris. I was up.
I didn't sleep until about 1 in the morning. Honestly,
I didn't. I couldn't get to sleep till about 12:30. I was getting up at 6. I couldn't get to sleep till about 1:45.
I was kind of our intro actually. Don was saying,
yeah. Welcome to the episode where Don loses his shit.
It was Grease that came on. Actually, I was half along for that. Then I got angry again.
Hello and welcome to a Gull'S Eye View. Wow, we're really living the dream as Torquay fans right now. If anyone questions your loyalty in life, then just say I'm a Torquay United fan and I keep going, and they will believe you. So obviously we'll move to Maidenhead in the bigger picture. We'll start at Scunthorpe though. So we're going back to Saturday. We've just lost 6-0 and we're all going to Wrexham. We're all going, right, we need 4 or 6 points minimum from these 2 games, which we evidently haven't got. Scunthorpe, my thoughts, I was doing the tweets that day. I said my thoughts for that game. I thought the first 20 minutes we looked really good. And it was a clear transition from what people said we hinted to do at Wrexham if we weren't so naive at the back and actually play football, which I do believe we can into last night. So we went 1-0 up and then we didn't kick on. Second half, we were very lucky to draw, in my opinion. Tom, you were there. Well, we were all there, but Tom, you were there. What are your thoughts of the Scunthorpe game?
100% with you, Sam. Completely agree. Came out of the blocks pretty well. Got the early goal. Looked pretty good. Looked like we were going to get a couple of goals, but once again we sort of let Scunthorpe get into the game, and in the end I left Plainmoor quite downbeat. There was a lot of people that were quite optimistic with the performance, but I sort of viewed it as, if it wasn't for Halstead making some cracking saves towards the end, it was going to be another defeat. And no disrespect to Scunthorpe, but they were nothing special at all, were they?
We built their own confidence, it felt like.
It was an improvement from Wrexham, which, when you lose 6-0, it's
insightful comment there, Tom.
Yeah, you want to see progression.
It was an improvement.
Comparing Wrexham to Scunthorpe, but I left Plainmoor quite downbeat, to be honest. It wasn't the performance I was hoping. It wasn't. It was a good reaction to begin with, but that second half was just. We had moments, but we didn't look like we were going to score another goal. And I suppose a point's better than nothing. But
Jarvis impressed me both games. But Jarvis has been that is a big positive.
Yeah, absolutely. I
was saying now just because he gets forgotten and everything else. Jarvis is running. His goal sorted last night. Sappy got that goal, but he's a big improvement. Anything else?
I think what we've seen in the last few games is the plan A. It's working all right to start the game, isn't it? It's set up well. We're scoring the first goal at Plainmoor anyway. But then as soon as the other team turn it up a bit and say, right, we're going to have a go at you, we start backpedaling. It's driving me back. It really is.
We're retreating back. Naive.
They suddenly get nervy, naive.
Honestly, if an opposition scout is watching this game, right, don't listen, because what I'm saying, just cross the ball in and our defenders will not pick up your man and you'll score. It's as simple as that. Wrexham did it 6 times basically.
But I mean, Scunthorpe's goal drove me mad, absolutely mad. It was so avoidable. We let him run, 20, 25 yards, let him have a shot. Nobody picked him up, and then the ball fell, and it was a goal. It was just, I was up from my seat shouting at that one. I really was. I just so avoidable. I am angry with these goals. They're just so avoidable. It's driving me mad. It must be driving the Gary Johnson mad on Aaron Downs, because it's just
And I think that's part of the problem, isn't it? Teams are not having to work hard to score goals. I mean, I just watched the highlights back from the Maidenhead game, and it's hard. You don't always appreciate it at the time, but it was just we're just so easy to get through. It's a combination of the way. I still think it's just something structurally is not right. because we are just so easy to get through. As soon as you get through that press from the midfield players, we are just so open. And, we were lucky, Nathaniel George didn't look much when he played for us, and that 45 minutes for us, but that left-hand side terrorises. And first half, Martin Dolan shut him down in the second half.
Yeah.
So we're just so easy to get through. Are we?
Yeah.
No, it's just the fact, just in general, but Scunthorpe was the same. When you watched the Scunthorpe highlights, we had a lot of territory. We had a lot of the.
It was very similar feel to it. Yeah.
It was, but we had a lot of. I think that's where the feel that we played all right had come from, because we had a lot of possession. We had, instead of creating chances, in both games we haven't really liked it. But the opposition, we had 2 off the line, 2 great saves from Halstead. If anyone was going to score, it was going to be Scunthorpe, wasn't it? And
I thought Maidenhead looked so limited last night. They didn't show anything for the first 30 minutes to threaten us. But because we got so nervy and far back, we let them have space. We let them dictate some of the play, and that was our downfall. It's just. Yeah, we want to get to the point where we can be confident and not give West sloppy goal, and then we'll actually achieve something, won't we? But it's.
I mean, let's talk about the goals. Point. Like last night, I don't want to single out opposition. But...
Well, we'll talk about our goal first, shall we?
So, positive. Yeah.
That was a brilliant goal. If you watch that back on the highlights, there must have been about 10 passes involved.
Yeah,
I don't know how they got through.
Going forward, we're starting to look a bit better. But then I'm also a bit worried, is this the best that this team can play? I know it sounds stupid that we've only just kind of transitioned, but I kind of feel this is the best it could get. And like in other games, if we weren't Boston in the league, and we could have had a bit more confidence and won last night. This is where we are, the doubt setting. And we did play better last night, but we're so naive it doesn't matter, because as soon as we play a team like Wrexham, we'll concede another 4 or 5. Like just
before they scored, I was down on the touchline next to Aaron Downs, and he was going mental at them, shouting. You could tell he was worried what was going to happen. But it's all right shouting during the match, isn't it? But it needs to be coached into them beforehand. They can't be. It can't be something that they work out during the game. It's got to be. They've got to be ready to do it beforehand.
How many times have we seen it in recent games, though? It doesn't look like we're learning anything. We're not learning from our mistakes.
But the basics of that first goal we gave away. The ball came in, we half cleared it, we let them have it again, we half cleared it, we let them have space on the left. And then instead of marking the man in the middle, the guy chips it over, and Ali Omar stood there having a chat with Halstead next to him. What are you marking there? Get out.
Moxley asked to mark 2 people. But they did that against Wrexham. Wrexham's put a few crosses in.
Yeah,
like say Marshall and Omar to keep doing the same mistakes, and because the problem with them two, like in parts of the play, they're doing great. Like they'll be heading the ball away. I'm thinking, oh, they look solid tonight. And all it takes is one ball. They've just lost concentration. Like Omar's on the first and third goal. I'm sorry. Everyone loves Ali, but like you cannot defend like that in men's football, let alone this.
But again, I think it's indicative of the way the squad is, whether it is money, whatever it is. But if you look at last season, Omar was very much a bit part player, barely played when we had nobody else. But yet now all of a sudden he's first pick and he's played every game. So
he's not just first. He's not just first pick, Chris. He's playing in the middle of the 3, which is probably
absolutely.
That's probably one of the most important positions in the team.
And in fairness, he's all we've got, isn't he? Which is why he's playing. But it's not a surprise in that respect, is it? Because
I agree.
I mean, it's interesting. I've noticed a real shift in the last couple of games. There's been a lot more. They've clearly had an emphasis on defending much more aggressively and on the front foot. They've been both him and Marshall have stepped forward before they've stepped back much more in the last couple of games. But the problem is, you can head balls, be strong all you like. As soon as people get around the side of us,
as soon as there's a little bit of chaos and something different happens, that's when they've got us down strong. It's all right going for the first header, isn't it? Anyone could do that, but it's staying strong.
They're good at balls coming this way, but it's crosses that come in, it just lose their heads, honestly. And I don't understand how you can keep making the same mistakes. Like that, you do all your work in training, you work really hard, you're improving this, but that's so basic. Don't show your number to the striker. You get to a new football and just completely ball coming. It's just no man's land all the time. It doesn't matter
the ability to read the game, unfortunately.
That's don't matter how technically good you are. If you can't do that, you're not going to go that high, I'm afraid.
Teams know they're gonna have a chance against us, you know, like last night, you know, 95th minute winner for Maidenhead. Absolute dog shit defending. It really was. It's embarrassing to watch. And, you know, going back to saying it doesn't seem like we're learning from mistakes. It's just frustrating to see it the last 3 or 4 games now. We're just static and slow.
Every team seems to have 2 players that skip through our entire midfield and just find acres of room, and it seems to happen every week. It doesn't matter who we're playing, and
you're right.
We're paying for it. I mean, it was a great goal from Jarvis, wasn't it?
And that's another thing.
Fantastic.
We should have won the game last night.
Yeah. I mean, what a lovely ball over the top, picked him out. First touch was
so
perfect.
good.
Yeah,
so
exactly
good.
where he wanted it.
So
and then he cushioned it.
good win, but Jarvis, he's the missing link we've needed.
And that's the only sort of hope you have at the moment is the front pair of Jarvis and Goodwin, you know. It's a young team though, isn't it? Goodwin's only 19. I mean, Omar's still young. I mean, he's made improvements from last season, but he's still young, he's still raw. And
I think Omar's all right if you put him with a Joe Lewis type, isn't he? We all know that. If you get a proper centre back alongside him who can, you know, clear up his moments of lethargy. I mean, Dean Moxey, I'm seeing him on the left back area last night, and he spends half his time looking over his shoulder. Are you there? Are you moving? You know, do something, you know, keeping him on his toes, but he can't keep shouting at him all game. He's got to take responsibility, isn't it? So. And 3 injuries, possibly 4 injuries. So Evans, nasty injury, broken ribs. At least we know he's not hurt. Well, it's a really horrible injury, but you know it is now. Yeah, we wish it looked more serious at the time. 3 ribs. It could be a lot worse. I was thinking it was some kind of a broken ankle or something. Yeah, like he went in and it was really weird. I was like, oh, that's a great tackle. Next thing you know, it's just on the floor like that. It was right down in front of where I was. And it looked, as it happened, and as the physio came on, he pointed to his back straight away. Because my instinct was it was probably a dislocated shoulder because he kind of stayed down and across himself. But then he pointed to his back. How did he break his ribs on a football pitch? I don't quite understand that. It must have been the bloke's knee. It must have been the bloke's knee. There was a bit of bloke on the pot. What was going on in the pop, Chris? Because they were giving a bit of stick to one of their players. Yeah, I mean, the right back had wasted a bit of time and was just being a bit of a dick in general. And obviously, where that tackle was, and then when he started getting treatment, he just picked the ball up and threw into the crowd effectively. And it was, it was just. I mean, he was just nothing massive. It was just him, just generally speaking, just winding people up, wasting time, nicking 5 yards every throw. And then we move on to the penalty decision, of course.
Yes, of course. Dom, do you want to lead us on to this? Because
9,000 views on our TikTok. If you haven't, we've joined the kids. I mean, I was angry at the ref already because he was giving everything. The foot went up a bit, nowhere near the head. Yeah. He gives it. Anytime anybody went down, it's a foul. He gave everything, didn't he, Sam? Do you find that they're benefiting away teams? Because when we've gone away and we've run results, I think it's at Halifax, the ref on the highlights looks awful, like in our favour. I think maybe in the Southend game, I feel like, and then every game at Plainmoor, basically everyone I've seen, I think, oh, you're not benefiting Torquay at all. I've been absolutely messed over in that Bournemouth game, and then the Woking game, he lost it. But I don't know. I think the frustration with the penalty was that you hear a lot in the modern game, don't you, about what is handball these days? What constitutes handball now? And when you're looking at VAR in international football, Champions League football, Premier League, whatever it might be, they talk about the silhouette, don't they? They talk about making your body bigger. They talk about extending your arms, making yourself bigger to block the ball. But I mean, his arm was by his side. It was fired at him from about 6 or 7 yards away. I just don't see. There was no part of me, because sometimes when you're watching a game, you do think, "Oh God, bloody hell, is that going to be handball?" But I didn't even notice it at the time. No, I didn't think. He did. And Maidenhead players in the entire ground, did they?
No, there was the Maidenhead player nearest the referee was shouting for it, and I wonder if maybe he caved into that. But if you're going to give a penalty handball for that, then you're going to have. So you're going to have so many penalties in everything. Should be a penalty. It's ridiculous. Yeah. It's embarrassing. I'm sick and tired of the shit officiating in this division. Oh, it's ridiculous. In England in general. But if you think it's bad in the Premier League, imagine in 5th tier. Honestly, I don't want to sound bitter, or I don't want to sound bitter because we've lost. Because
no, it just seems it's ruining games. A scandal. We're bad enough already, and it's happening in all of the leagues, not just Torquay, and it's happened in our favour as well.
The game might have ended anyway, but it was a big moment, wasn't it?
I mean,
going
we'd have got in 2-1 up.
Half time,
It's totally different, isn't it? I think the frustration I have with modern officials is that when I was much younger than I am now, when I was watching Torquay when I was younger, and you go to watch live games and stuff, is that there was a real feel that referees were just there to officiate the game. They didn't want to be seen. They weren't there.
They were in charge. They just were there.
They'll give what they have to, but they had a bit of authority when they needed to. But now you get a really feel, and I guess it's a consequence of having a lot of younger officials. I think they're noticeably younger at the games I've been to this season.
But soft decisions, didn't he? What was that?
They want to make it about themselves.
Good win. Yeah. Good win. He gave a booking too when he just caught him in the penalty. Yeah. That was nothing at all.
But it's just, I mean, it just feels like they kind of want to be seen more these days.
Yeah.
They want to be, I'm in charge, I'm going to give a penalty. I'm going to book you for, and of course the thing that frustrates all supporters is consistency. I mean, and of course the problem is you set your stall out. Once he's booked Goodwin, every slightly late tackle that maybe catches somebody, his foot was maybe slightly up, is then a booking. But then you don't follow that through.
Yeah, every challenge was a free kick after that. He couldn't stop whistling.
Spoils the game.
It does ruin it.
The second half, I thought the second half we actually showed something. I didn't think there was much skill on display. I mean, Jarvis did his business, didn't he, and got onto things. But we just pushed a bit harder. I mean, we had more possession.
Scott Smith on loan gets the ball, and he didn't.
Yeah, we had to show more quality in midfield. I mean, McGavin was picking the ball up quite deep, and
there's no runs apart from Jarvis in there. But as a team, there's no. Oh, that player's gone in there to sort that player, which has gone in that player in there. There's none of that. It's all, are you going to run? Yeah, I'll run this time. And then that player will run. He might get the ball. And then he's like, what do I do now? There's no cohesion. There
was a lot of bluster, wasn't there? Without any final pass.
But it's like this all last season. It was first half. Everyone's going, oh, Little's lost the ball. Yeah, because he needs players who are more intelligent. And as soon as he got players more intelligent, like Duke McKenna, he did amazingly. Didn't see that one coming, did you? By the way, remember when Turkey players booed Little? Just I thought of that this morning. Yeah. That was like not even a year ago.
I think as well when you look at the two games.
Sorry, Chris.
No, because both the games are very similar in that you're thinking about kind of both of the games. It's the second half. You mentioned the second half there. Did we have a lot of the ball? Yes. Did we move the ball? Yes. Did we have a lot of possession? Yes. Did we have a lot of possession? Yes, we did. How did the goalkeeper make a save in either half? The only chance we had was the Hansen header in stoppage time when he's got score, hasn't he? I know it all happens in a flash, but from that distance, you've got to find a way past that.
If you're a strong header of the ball, you head it in there. He's not a strong header of the ball, is he? Just kind of glimpse it.
It's a decent contact, though. But in fairness, he's from a standing position, so it was a decent contact. But there were only two on the line. You have to find a way. All you've got to do is kind of head it down slightly, and they're not going to stop it.
It's fine margins, isn't it? When you're at the bottom, nothing goes for you. And 30 seconds
I think what we saw from Smith last night is somebody who's really keen to make something happen, and he was trying to.
He didn't have the most successful game that he'll have in his career, and
Lapsley as well was trying so hard, but he can't pass the ball, can he? There's no subtlety in his passing. They kept going long every time, didn't it? When we needed something a bit more precise. The effort was there from these guys, but the quality is, yes.
Right, so we'll go to our next section because it kind of going to lead us to the next chat. So we're doing a new feature on Twitter and we might put it to other social medias where basically we ask a question. Well, to be fair, I put a very vague question. Be a bit more direct next week, but as it's the first one, so the goal.
Should we sack him or not?
Yeah, but I still want to look. That's next week if we keep losing. Where does the club go from here? So basically what I'm asking with that very vague question is, if you're in charge or if you're that, what do we do? So shall I read some comments and we're kind of whatever? Mark says...
As long as they're not yours.
No, they're not. Mark says,
actual people have replied this time.
Yes. Stop panicking. Better results are coming. The attack is getting better and defensively luck will turn. Every single mistake's been punished at the present. 8 teams are still within one good result. Keep the faith. Fair enough, Mark. I agree with that. That is all technically true. David says, I stated the stats at the time of the playoff managers who go on to gain promotion. It was the following seasons. It's 10% from memory. I'm sure the seasons pass, the percentage reduces, managed by facts and not emotions.
That's Dave Caldwell, was it?
That's Dave Caldwell, yeah. Mark Hurst says, can't afford to pay Gary Johnson off, but fans need to realise that just because we were good 2 and 4 seasons ago, he's not automatically going to turn things around. If it doesn't work like that. I don't think we're a particularly well-coached team right now. I agree, it just doesn't look impressive at the moment. It's also time he stopped constantly questioning whether players are good enough. He's the one that recruited him. Very good then. Very good point.
True. Yeah.
So nobody to blame, coach them better. Location shouldn't be used as an excuse. I'm very glad someone's saying this because it does get my nose a bit. We all do fall into this trap. I'm not aware of talking moving geographically in the recent seasons. I know that geography is a bit of an issue, but we say it like if we were based in the Midlands, we'd be in League One at times, I do feel. And then Rachel basically replies to that and agrees with that. Any thoughts on them so far?
I think the Mark Hurst one's an interesting one about because Gary Johnson said last night, didn't he, the first time this season, I think he said some of these players aren't up to it.
Said that a lot last season, didn't he?
Which was a recurring theme from probably from late August to about October last season, wasn't it? And it's okay.
He's probably right.
He's brought these players in.
But
he's these players in.
And this is the point. Another Talkie fans made for everyone says something. It's very true. So, Pat, you remember in the pre-season, it was like, oh, we gave Little and Co, all them Livens, Lewis, all those great players we missed. Big contracts, like stupid contracts, basically. So, look, we'll put everything on the line. Okay, they rejected them. So, in theory, we had quite a big budget, which means this is still probably a top half budget, as some people have said. And this team is bottom 4, maybe bottom 8 standard at best right now. So, and that's why the buck goes back to Johnson. If in the first place,
do we pay stuff like relocation fees, that kind of thing, which you wouldn't do with a existing player, this kind of thing?
Secondly, this is I'm talking about now. With the money that it would cost to pay him off, you might, if there's money in the pot there, I'd say chuck it towards 3 or 4 good players. I'm not particularly sure this regime can sign a good player at the moment after what we've seen with the sort of the Johnsons. I'm not impressed by the recruitment at all. The team needs to be improved because Johnson goes now. Yeah, good. New manager comes in. He's still got the same squad. He's got no confidence and in desperate need of players. That's my opinion. Anything else to add? I'll read 3 more.
Yeah, I think recruitment's been a problem, isn't it? It's been a problem for the last 2 summers.
It's poor. It's very poor.
Getting that right. If you're not going to get it right, you get worse.
We need more recruitment people.
Yeah, you give Gary the benefit of the doubt, last season, but this season it's just been.
To be honest, I think all the talk about managers and stuff is it's kind of almost we can't afford to sack him. Is an interesting. You don't hear that very often, do you? And that's sort of something that is. But for me, I'm not Johnson in, I'm not Johnson out because we all have that emotional tie to Johnson. For me, I try, those who know me will probably argue with this, to be as emotionless as possible because I'm pretty emotive at a football match. You said it was quite emotional last night, but you deal with the fact. Look at the results. We've lost 7 out of 12 games.
I'm not defending him anymore.
We haven't won in 6 home games. We've conceded 6 goals, 4 goals, 3 games several times. You've got to look at the results. And if we can't afford to sack him, fine. I've got no problem with that. If we can't afford to sack him, we move on. But in terms of should we sack him, shouldn't we sack him? Is he the right manager? Is it time for a change? Looking at the bare facts of it, we're bottom of the league after 12 games with a group of players that he has recruited himself. He signed them, no one else.
Yeah. And his brother.
That's not great reading. It's not great. I'm not saying we should sack him. I'm just saying that's not great reading.
It's not good.
It's basics like a centre back. We all know we've needed one for 2 summers, and we haven't got one.
Where's the wingers? The whole point of last season.
And if you're going to play wing backs, we haven't got any. We haven't got
one right wing back, and he's injured.
It's hard, isn't it? We're all, rekindling that National League South title that he won and how it's changed the club since he's come in, and it just feels like we're back to the Owers days. There's just no hope. We're a quarter of the way through the season now. A quarter of the way through the season. The football is still just diabolical. Okay, the last few games I saw maybe a little bit more than I've seen in maybe towards the beginning. But you got to get to a point where something's got to change. Otherwise, the one place we'll be going is the National League South next season, and I don't know how we would recover from that. If
he went for the same now. it'd be like, oh, we've been here kind of thing. I don't want it. We don't need to get into that chat until maybe Christmas.
No, I still think it's too early to worry about that.
A lot of sides worse than others.
I'm not sure right now.
Just not right now.
No,
I mean, if you look at the players, I mean, the thing that I find slightly troubling, quizzical about this whole situation is I can honestly say the defence is a big problem. We're conceding too many goals. That's a key area. But we've talked about Jarvis. We've talked about Goodwin, who looked good. I don't look at those midfield players and think, what the hell are you doing here? You don't look at them and think there's no talent, there's no ability, there's no desire in there. You look at McGavin last night. McGavin just wants too long. He takes too long over everything. Someone's got to get in to move the ball quicker,
didn't he, to spread the play?
You look at the midfielders. You look at these players, and I don't look at them and think you're not up to the standard. But the problem is, it goes back to that solid foundation thing, doesn't it? If we keep conceding 2s and 3s and 4s in every game, you ain't going to win many games. And that's, how many clean sheets have we got this season? 1?
We say this though, but like, even though there are a few players you think, oh, that can't relegation battle, that Nicholson team that did the Great Escape twice, like, we still had some good players in there. Like, we still had Luke Young, I know he's injured. We look what he's done. Angus McDonald in the first one, Nathan Smith. We still had good players in there, and we struggled like hell. We had Blissett. We had, Brett Williams in that first spell at the end of the season, unbelievable. Keaton was very decent. Brendan Moore wasn't.
That was a classic struggle season, wasn't it? Where we used about 40 players, wasn't it? The team changed.
That was the next one, yeah. But like I just don't think his team's good enough. I think his team's going to be in trouble. I think it's similar to that sort of squad. I'll read a few more comments because it's very good. Jules says we're going up. That's good. We can only go upwards. The man in the legend, Jules. Barnaby says Johnson should stay. He's been there before, brackets bad runs, and he's dragged us out of similar runs over the last few seasons. The reality is we'd have to pay him off, find someone better, and give them funds to change the squad. I can't see that happening with a positive outcome, and I do feel a bit the way. He also says we deserved to win last night. We're a 94th minute goal line clearance away. Don't worry, he's not typing bad. I'm just reading bad. From doing that, we'd all feel so much better if that had gone in. Fine margins, which of course is football. We're not getting hammered, and there's a decent team there. Jarvis will prove a good player. And it's true, if we had won last night, then we're like, hey, but still, I would still feel I'll be buzzing, but it's still not a good squad.
On the flip side, if we'd played a good team last night, they would have probably beaten us 4-1.
Yeah. The other question, which at the risk of sounding like Sam, around that, and I know there's a lot of talk around this, around the structure of the club, around, I guess, football operations, is who is looking at the situation, who is looking at where we are, at the decision, who makes the decision, who decides it's the thing to do, who decides who the replacement's going to be, who recruits that manager, who does the negotiations with that football knowledge and nous that you need to hire a football manager. And I don't know.
All goes to George, doesn't it? The decisions.
Well, is he a football man? I don't know. He's a businessman, as far as I know.
We don't know him very well, do we? He stands in the shadows, doesn't he?
Literally, sometimes. But in terms of football operations, you talk about, directors of footballs and chief of football operations and chief executives of football clubs. Who is making that decision? If it's one bloke who, as far as I'm aware, is a businessman, that might explain why it's not happening. Because if in doubt, you're going to stick, aren't you? And it's the right thing to do. You do need to stick. But Johnson made one comment last night, which I thought was odd. He talked about, we've got to get through these next couple of games like they're tomorrow, and we've got to do this and hope it changes.
I mean, that Hampton game is so crucial. If they don't get to the FA Cup, oh my God.
You can't say, basically what he's saying is we've got to try and blag a result in the next couple of games and hope I can get a bit of pressure off me. No, we need to do something about this now. We've got to go on Saturday, defend better, attack better, and win the game. That's what you want to be here. And I know it's hard after games and the emotion that goes for managers like it does for all of us, but he sounded a bit kind of like, we need to kind of almost blag our way through it. No, we need to go and win it. It's simple.
We need to find a couple more players as well. I mean, look at the squad depth. We had no strikers on the bench last night. You've got two on
we need to dip into that loan market and quick, because
we have
with these injuries.
I'm sure they're trying. I've heard things like players have been pulled out last minute, but you've played a 2-striker formation. You've got 3 strikers in your squad, and obviously one's injured for a while. And it's just it doesn't make sense to me. Like a few more comments. I'll do a few more. Bob says, just hope things get better. I guess we saw last year things can turn quite quickly. The course is lower, but the goal now is quickly becoming surviving. Difference between 20th and 8th isn't that big. Not sure, not Johnson in or out at this point, but not sure there's an obvious replacement. Very true. Alf says we find a Hollywood star for money. Yeah, that's true. We do need to do that. Another one says probably down, sadly. Christine says. And right now, I believe we are. We don't get.
I have to say, I've been convinced for a while that Downs would be the next manager.
But then a few.
I'm not sure I pictured where Johnson to go. I don't know if I pictured this situation.
Yes, yeah. It depends how Johnson's handled. Did you notice last night that Johnson, of course, didn't clap the fans because why would you?
It never does when they lose.
But Downs made the point of coming over and clapping the pop side and all the fans.
He always does. Yeah.
I think the trouble is if you don't want Gary Johnson, you probably don't want Aaron Downs because he's learned all he knows from Gary. So what is he going to give
most
us?
Of the training. Downs runs.
What is he going to give us different that Gary's given us?
I don't think you gain anything sacking an experienced manager and appointing his assistant who is fundamentally living in his mould, do you? No, I don't think you gain anything from that.
One more. Zach says, thanks for his comments, by the way, each and every one of you. It's the manner of the performance and constant style he tries to play. Cheltenham had the similar issues, and then he got him up quickly after the second season back in league as they were free falling back to the National League again. No disrespect, he's finding it very well with the budget and players he's brought through, but the squad is really underperforming. Yeah, that's a good point. Like there is lifespans on managers, and I wouldn't think there would be with Gary Johnson this season because it's a brand new team to learn from him, but it's just not clicking, is it?
Well, we were saying, weren't we, lads? Prior to Scunthorpe and Maidenhead, we wanted a minimum of, you guys wanted a minimum of 4. I said we needed 6. We've ended up with 1, and then we were saying if we didn't win either home games, what did you think? Regarding Gary's. I have to stick with my word. I love Gary to bits and what he's done, but I just get the feeling we're heading towards the end of this relationship with Gary. It just seems like he doesn't know how to change the situation, which sounds stupid for a man who's done so much in management in his football career, but it just seems like he just seems so downbeat and I just don't think he knows how to get us out of this hole. And
can he get something out of these young players? He struggled last season. I mean, he's an older manager. Is his messages getting through to these 20, 21-year-olds that need something different? I'm just not sure.
They're different breed of people. It's a different generation. People might just react to it. He might be thinking, "Oh my God, players 10 years ago, they would work so much harder in this area." I don't know.
The only thing I would say about this group of players in terms of the situation we're in is I don't look at anybody and think they're not trying.
No.
I think they're committed, they're working hard. You only have to see the reaction after the game last night. Full time, they were all on the floor. They were, they were crestfallen. They all felt like we did. So I don't think they're kind of not caring, they're not kind of working. I wouldn't aim they weren't working, but whether there's a fine line between working hard and giving your best and not being good enough, isn't there? I think that might be the case.
Trouble. I think their ceiling's quite low at the moment, is it? They are trying hard. I say they're a good bunch of lads. I've said that to a few people. But the ceiling's low at the moment, isn't there? If you were rating them out of 10 in the National League scale, you'd give them all 3s and 4s, wouldn't you? Apart from some of them,
like average National League South, a lot of them, honestly, right now. Sadly.
And unfortunately, that FA Cup draws at home and it's good, but just as we all feel at the moment, it's got disaster written all over it, hasn't it?
Yeah,
yeah.
Are we moving on to the cup draw now? Are we? Thomas going to give us the full lowdown on Hampton.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, I've been volunteering at Hampton and Richmond Borough Football Club for about 6 months now, and great club.
Like a big personal statement. It does. Hi, I'm Tom.
Great club, great people. I mean,
I used to have an admission to make. I hope they win.
I mean, I'm saying that my Hampton mates supporting friends at the moment, and I mean, when they got through to the fourth qualifying round, we were saying, "Oh, it's going to happen. We're going to draw Torquay." The odds were.
You predicted it Monday morning.
You're going to be disappointed. You were going to be disappointed if it didn't. So when we came out at home, I was like, "Oh, good, a home tie," and it's like, "Oh, well, maybe home form's not great." And then as soon as I heard their number come up, I thought, oh, no, because they're going to see this game as one that they can win. There's no pressure on them. No pressure.
As soon as it came up, I thought we had Danny Wright and Jake Andrews coming back, didn't I? I got my HAs confused.
Tom sounds like he's trying to decide which is his favourite child, doesn't he?
guys, I'm talking through and through. I'll be in the pot there. I mean, the good thing is we're going to make a nice weekend of it. So at least one of us.
It'll be a good occasion.
If Hampton win, are you going to rip off your Torquay shirt and have Hampton underneath joining away?
That's it, absolutely. Hey. Yeah. I'm a winner either way. Unless we draw, we have to do the replay and all that. But they're 17th, I believe. They're 17th time of recording in the National League South, and I've been to a few of the games, and they play some good stuff. And I think their performances haven't quite warranted the results.
Not helping.
I know, we're never very good when the cup comes around, though, are we? We're always behind on the ball. We're always.
You just look at our history and just think,
it's
you almost sort of just wanted something like Woking at home, like at least Woking or Aldershot, whatever.
Yeah. Something where the embarrassment factor would be quite low.
Yeah. So it's going to be tough because again, there's no pressure on them whatsoever, and they'll view this as they can beat us. They'll view this as.
We need to be up for it every year. We're not up for these games. Like give us your best, Nothing good. We're not playing well, but play it like you mean it. It's a big game.
Yeah, it's not just because when they beat us in the National League South at Plainmoor, wasn't that just before Owers left and Gary came in? Was it that game or was it one more after that? I can't quite.
I think Chippenham was the last game. But
Chippenham was the last one.
They beat us, but in that run,
yeah. And you just get the feeling, say, if we don't get a result against York, and then we get a defeat in the cup to Hampton, God, it just doesn't bear thinking.
I don't know. I wish I hadn't put rock bottom as the title last week, as we were saying before. I don't know what.
What do you call it now?
What we call it this week, let alone if that happens.
You were really selling that, weren't you?
Let's get 3 points at York on Saturday, and then we'll worry about it. Shall we? How about that?
Yeah.
But it's what you've just got to win it. How many times do we say home form is so bad? We've got to turn the corner at home, and
2 points out of 6 games, is it?
It's awful, isn't it? It's just teams come to Plainmoor and they know that they're going to get chances, and
I don't think any of them are must win
to get a result
because it's early in the season. The point still is not a big difference, but we've got to get going, haven't we?
I think it depends who you are. If you're Johnson, it'll become must win pretty soon. If
we
lose on Saturday, he's in charge of the Hampton game.
Yeah.
If we lose on Saturday and he's in charge of the cup game, it's must win. Because if you then lose at home to National League South side,
see, for you guys, it's not too bad. Oh, if we lose, okay, it's the FA Cup, or whatever. For me, I'm not going to hear the end of this if we can't beat bloody Hampton and Richmond.
Mate, if we don't beat Hampton, I'm absolutely seething. The season ticket clip we'll tear it up and we'll get a few.
And got it up if we draw. We got to go to Hampton and Richmond on Tuesday night after. Just nice, nice ground, nice club, nice people, but
no thanks.
It's so if we're struggling with financially, you need a good cup run. If we're not going to do anything of significance this season, you need a good cup run. When was our last good cup run? 7-8 years ago.
Ages ago. Yeah, even under Gary, we can get past the
lost in the first round.
Past the first round.
Yeah,
we've barely got in the first round in the last few years, have we? I mean, it's not even like we've got
Crawley, weren't we? 6-5 or whatever it was.
The last one couldn't have been. Well, the last one was Ling when we got to the Sheffield United. I said that was a good cup run, and we could have won. We won for a few minutes when we lost 3-2 in the second round.
We're so due a good cup run, but you just can't see anything.
The last proper one was Crawley.
That said, though, we can't beat anybody in our own league. So I don't know about the positives of a good cup run. Yeah, maybe it's a distraction.
Underdogs Torquay defeat Hampton and Richmond.
Gull'S v Beavers. But it deep down. I mean, I was sort of. In a way, I'm sort of happy because it's like it'll be a good weekend for them.
Be good fun, won't it? Yeah.
We're all going to go down in the car, so
I bet they'll bring more.
I might leave them stranded in Torquay if they win, but
I'll be surprised to bring any Maidenhead fans, Chris.
Yeah, I reckon they'll bring about 100, 150 with them. I think they're going to bring support. But FA Cup's huge, absolutely huge. Got to get into that first round proper. We've got to at least. Hopefully get either a really good TV tie or, God forbid, get someone maybe a bit lower down and try and get ourselves
even the prize money though. I think I read the prize money is 9,500 if you win, 3,500 if you lose. I mean, £10,000 worth having for a club at our level, isn't it? Crikey, I mean, that's worth in itself.
The dream for a club is get to a third round and then get that big one, and then you're sorted a few million. But it won't happen to us, even if we did get to third rounds.
It never does.
It never happens to us. No.
But the problem is, if they keep telling me, my mates, the last time they've got through to the proper rounds of the FA Cup, guess who they've drawn?
No.
Oldham at home twice. So the winner, we're going to Oldham. If they can beat Chester and the winner of our game will go into Oldham. So, yeah.
Concentrate on York first, shall we?
Yeah.
That's a big one.
We've been saying for weeks that's a winnable game. Don't know.
They're a decent team, though, aren't
Manny
they?
Duku, absolute doers over.
Oh, I've forgotten that.
Bowden's left them now, I believe, but he won't.
But to be honest, and again, I think it's one of the negatives of these last couple of games is that if we played these two sides and you thought, well, they're not as bad as their league position, but you looked at both of them and thought, if you can't beat them, and apart from that top bracket, I don't know there's any sides that necessarily are kind of much of a muchness compared to anyone else. So it's a game you've got to go there and think you can win, isn't it? Their home form's not great. Their away form's been better. So, hopefully it's going to be an occasion that, the players realise they've got to...
keep saying score the first goal, Chris, but that doesn't seem to help.
No, that doesn't work.
No, score the second goal. It can now be what it is, because how many games...
Don't score and don't concede.
Yeah.
Score the last goal. How about that? That'd be nice, wouldn't it? That make change.
Even if we're 5-0 down, at least score the last goal.
Next goal wins.
It doesn't always work. I once went to watch us play at Peterborough and we scored in the first and last minute and conceded 6 in between. So it doesn't always work. But
I think last night was a classic Torquay United, wasn't it? Of such pain and cruelty.
Yeah.
The Torquay United we love, we hate.
Why do they put us through such misery?
It's so like, oh my god, you can't make that up. You just having off the line in the 94th minute and then conceding in the 95th. Yeah. It's just like you're just so in a sulk about the chance not going in. What could be worse?
Switch on, lads. We're still playing.
Ulsted's caught in
what's the saying? I think we got Vanaramaed.
Yeah, didn't we just? But it'll all be worth it when we're embracing in the away end at full time on Saturday, Tom.
It'll
all be worth it, won't it? It'll all be worth it.
Guys, 5 games. Nice. 5 games. I've seen two wins, 3 draws, 0 defeats.
There you go. See, we'll have a selfie for next week. Of us celebrating in the away end.
Yes,
that'd be lovely. That'd be lovely.
Score predictions for York, then, guys.
2-0 York.
I haven't actually thought about it.
Bloody hell, Sam.
No, if we win, we'll win 2-1, but I think we'll lose.
I think we'll win 2-1.
1-1.
I'll say 2-2.
Apart from Sam, I'd take any of those, frankly.
Well, you know what they say. Never write Torquay off. But
do they say that?
Yeah. Who says that?
I don't know who says that. Torquay's like that club, isn't it? But this season it's happened too many times where it's like, wrote us off.
I know I said we were gonna win this league by 20 points. I think I might bring that down to about 15.
No, we might get to 20 points is now the aim.
If we win this league by 20 points, I'm absolutely here for the next 6 months. It's going to be amazing.
It will be a hell of a ride, won't it? Really?
If there's one club that will give you that ride, it's Torquay United Football Club.
No, if there's one club that will make you hate everything and make you regret everything about football, it's Torquay United Football Club.
And then you'll still go again the next week.
Yeah, still go next week.
Yeah.
Morons.
Life choices, lads.
I might see something different this week.
I guess you had a house, done it,
Thank you for watching. Thanks for all the comments for the question, and we'll do that next week. Safe trip to all Torquay fans. Good and you too. I'm looking down because you're down on my screen right now. I don't know. I'm looking down like that. Me and Dom will be at home. I'm not putting the commentary on because I can't stand this Torquay on the radio. But yeah, hopefully we'll turn round and we'll be speaking to you after 3 points next week.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen. Come on, you guys.
That's it.
No.